Thousands of wildfires happen every year that burn millions of hectares.
Today we're talking to Ernie Francis, manager at the Forest Management Division,
and learn about forest fires.
Hi Ernie, thank you for talking to us.
How long is the fire season in the area?
The season used to start in June and then second week in August. Now we're starting in first part of May and ending second, third week of August. So longer fire period.
How do you detect forest fires in the area?
Okay, usually they have a 1-800 number, 1-800 fire. People can call that number to report a fire. Sometimes they get reports from aircraft flying in the vicinity, or we get a lightning outbreak after a hot day like these past couple of days. You get some lightning, so we can detect where the lightning hits, so we do a smoke patrol.
What does a smoke patrol involve?
The crew would go out with 3 guys in limited IA gear, 3 bags of hose, pumps, hand tools, gas. Once they go on a smoke patrol, if they spot a fire, they'll call it in. They'll do an ISM. They're looking at ISM is initial smoke message. So they're looking at the size, the color of the smoke, the slope, what the fire is doing, activity, temperature over the fire, any value is close to that fire. And if they're gonna IA8, initial attack it, they'll land, they'll look for a heli spot to land. Chances are there's nothing, so they're gonna do a hover exit. 1 guy, sometimes 2,
I don't know, we'll figure that
hover over an area, the crew would jump out.
You said you're doing laundry?
So they're still under power,
Okay.
but the crew, 2 guys will jump out, prepare the helipad, and the helicopter would move off, and they call it back in once that helipad is established. Once they cut it out, then they'll unload all their gear, they'll set up a pump at the lake or a river or a little stream. They'll string hose out to the fire, fire up the pump, get the water going, and then they put water on the fire.
When you're close to the fire pit, the heat forces you to step back. Let's say it's a hot summer day and there is an intense fire. What would be an initial attack?
Say higher than class 3.
Okay, well,
The flame lengths are only about 5-6 meters. Anything higher than that, it's too high. A big wall of flame, you're not going to be near it. So you need some helicopters or tankers or water bombers to cool it down, lower the intensity, so the crews can actually get in there and put it out. With the helicopters, they usually have a bucket with them, so they hook up a bucket, pick up out of the lake and drop water on the fire, cool it off. The air tankers, there's some with land-based, but use retardant. Retardant is laid in front of the fire. It's not laid on the fire, it's in front. In the green, they call it. What that does is, once the fire hits that retardant line, it drops it down, so it slows the burning process through that fuel. Eventually burns through it, but it slows it down to give the crew time to get in there. With the water skimmers, they pick up water right on site. They could remain on site for about 4 hours or 2 cycles. Mainly go back for fuel and do another cycle. Drop water on it, right on the fire perimeter. Fire itself, skimmers. And that's to lower the intensity of the fire so the crews can get in there. And if you can imagine, the fire is burnt everything, the trees and willows and everything, so there's no shade. So these 30-degree temperatures, it's slow going. It's hot. Get heat stroke or heat exhaustion. Drinking lots of fluid, they go through lots of water, right? pump and hose, put out a fire. Initial attack, first thing they're gonna do is do an initial pass, and it could be 3 feet or 2 feet right along the edge. They're going along the fire. They want to stop the growth. Once they get right around the fire, they'll call it being held, so that fire is not growing anymore. Once they get that hose around it, then they're going to work deeper in, usually about 100 feet. They'll go in 100 feet and black line right around. After that, you call it under control. So you get that 100-foot perimeter, then you start working the centers. Put everything out, dig up all the hot spots, and eventually put it out. We go by numbers now. Lots of scientific stuff went into fires, and the higher the numbers, the harder it is to put fire out. Sometimes they burn deep. As soon as they burn too deep, it's harder, slower progress to put it out. It takes lots of water and slow going. Once they put it out, they pull that fire out. Or sometimes you can have a fire flap. You can have like as much as 9 fires a day. The crew will go in there, get hose around it, pick up their gear, roll it up, move on to the next one, and the next one. They try to stop the spread, and then they go in later, back in later on and try to put it out. In some cases, they'll hire emergency firefighters to help out. Once the crew gets their hose around it, they'll send in emergency firefighters to help put it out.
You have been in this business for decades. With wildfire season now spanning longer, are wildfires also becoming more frequent?
I would say yes in certain regions. There's 5 regions in the NWT: the South Slave, the North Slave, the Decho, Satu, that's up here, Odell region. Down south with the drought conditions now, last year we had crazy amounts of fires. We were fighting fires right into October last year, and it varies on the number of fires. This year in our region we only had 2. It's nice to take a break, but once you take a break up here, we're exported to other regions to help out.
Are there instances where fire remains active over the winter and quietly regains momentum in the spring? Does the fire survive under the snow? I find it hard to imagine.
With the drought conditions in the southern part of the NWT and in the Beaufort Delta, you can see we got low water, hardly any rain, a few hot days. Permafrost is getting thawed out there. Fires tend to burn deeper. If there's no moisture in the ground, the fires will burn as much as 4 or 5 feet deep. Some of these fires, actually, one of these fires actually was a holdover from last year, and that was way up the Sigachik, or the Great River there. Down south, there was a lot of fires that were holdovers, so they burn all winter underground. As soon as the snow melts, they come towards the surface and they start flaring up again. So a lot of work to put them out. I never ever saw a fold over fire in this region before, so it might be another sign of climate change.
What are some of the challenges that the wildfire fighting crew faces, and what do you have in place to overcome them?
When we fight fires, one of our policies is we got to recognize fires. It's a natural phenomenon. Back in the day, fire used to burn wild. Now we're putting out fires. We're too good at our jobs putting out fires, but some of them should have burnt naturally. So an older forest can pose a hazard on crews, because if they're going there and that fire flares up, then it's a potential risk. One of the policies for action of fire is human life, and our crews are included in that. So it's too dangerous to put crews on it. We're not going to put crews on it. wait for the tankers to help them out, stuff like that. And another policy is values at risk. People building cabins out in the country there, there's got to be an illness on them to fire smarter cabins. We only have so much equipment in the region. If we have lots of fires, then all that equipment is going to be on those fires. So people have to be aware of that and to do their part to fire smart around their cabins.
Firefighting and wildfire fighting is a risky business. Could you speak to fatalities and injuries in this
It's a
field?
sad part of the job, but over the past few years, we've seen a number of fatalities. We just had one in Jasper, and last year we had one in the NWT, and it's just the nature of the job. It's very high risk work we do. We handle chainsaws, axes. We're on helicopters. There's always a risk there.
Thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you. And this is, again, a lot of information to digest. Have a good day.
Yes.
SubhanAllah, wildfires are a natural phenomenon with ecological benefits, but not without its challenges.